All right, we're here. It's me, Chev, and my forehead, and it's Big D, Dougie, not Big D, but Dougie, the fresh
freshest
one,
of the freshest.
the freshest of the freshest. And we got a mock draft for you today. I actually need to actually get my life together and get this on the screen because the boys aren't gonna let me. Let's see here. There we go. There it is. So we got a few picks off the board. Let me get. There we go. We're getting our lives together, one piece at a time. How we doing tonight, Dougie?
Good, good. What's going on, Chev?
Man, you know me, brother. They're all good days on this side of the dirt.
I love it. I love it. I preach on that. That's good stuff. Yeah. Make sure you're hitting the like button. Let's get all that jazz out the way. Really excited for this live redraft mock.
Yeah, so this is, I mean, we're launching the redraft channel. That'll be out at some point in July as we gear up towards redraft season. The powers that be, corporate, if you will, is they wanted some redraft, and I was like, I like redraft. I like redraft a lot. And so that's what we're doing.
You said corporate.
Yeah. Jay Wayne is the head of HR.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Shout out, Jay.
Yeah, he's on his way. I talked to him earlier today. He's on his way to Virginia with his family. So
yeah. Williamsburg.
Yeah.
Good
so
stuff.
Shout out Jay Wayne. Hopefully you made it there safe. Hopefully you like your new role as the head of HR for the FF Dynasty. But we got a few picks off the board here. So obviously Zelos, is that what that says? Zelius. I was gonna get there, dude. I don't have my glasses on, which I guess I could put on for this. Let's see here.
Only if we get a sweet reflection off of them. Yeah, there it is, baby.
We can get that ring light reflection. I can't do that. That drives me insane. So I just won't be able to see as good for the. But so Zelius comes off the board. My RB1 in all formats, in particular redraft for this year, because I feel like he's in for such a massive year. Bijan Robinson goes first. Jamar Chase goes second. Justin Jefferson goes third. CeeDee Lamb goes fourth. Saquon Barkley goes fifth. Otto, unfortunately for FFB shot caller, he goes with Jahmyr Gibbs at 6. Puka Nacua goes 7. Malik Neighbors goes 8th. Nico Collins goes 9th. Amon-Ra St. Brown goes 10th. And we're on the clock here. And Derrick Henry goes 111. Are there any surprises here to you so far?
No. I feel like it's fairly stock. I think once you get past the first 5, 6 for me, then you're kind of looking at preference for about the next 5 or 6, 7 maybe. But we'll see how the rest of the board falls. So no huge surprises. I mean, we live in this dynasty world, and we know that Derrick Henry's fallen into the 5th round and all this crazy talk, but Derrick Henry's a monster, and if you're talking redraft, this is definitely where you want him. So,
I mean, yeah, I can't argue with that. I'm a little surprised. That our boy Christian McCaffrey is not off the board yet, but I understand it. Yeah. I don't have any gripes with any picks that anybody's made so far. Like, it's pretty. I mean, it's fairly chalk. I think maybe I'll pick Christian McCaffrey over Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Potentially,
maybe.
Nico is a little bit of a surprise for me this high, but it's not. It's not outlandish. I don't think it's anything crazy. Again, I think it's kind of preference. So
100%. I mean, the issue with Nico isn't whether or not he's good. I mean, he's awesome. Did you see what Mike Evans said about him the other day?
No.
Oh, intrigued. Yeah. So he said that Nico is a cross between him and Julio.
That is some high praise.
That is some
wow
high praise. Yeah. That is just, it's like, what? Wait a minute. Let me say that again, but say it slow and let me record you saying it.
Julio?
Yeah. Now that's been floating around. That's been floating around Twitter for a little while now. It's like the whole Nico and Julio thing, which it feels blasphemous, right? It feels blasphemous to compare him to a guy who's most certainly going to end up with a gold jacket.
Oh,
but
for sure.
Is he that good? Like, has he been that good? Was he on a 2,000-yard pace before he pulled his hamstring and missed 5 weeks? Like, he's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, he is, and I really like what Houston has done. I mean, we know that they still have offensive line problems, right? But I think you're going to see a nice bounce back out of Stroud this year, and I really think that you'll see the emergence of Higgins come into play. I think Christian Kirk's going to give him a nice option in the slot. So I think the weapons are in place for Houston to have that awesome aerial attack that we can foresee with all the pieces that they have. But I'm really interested to see what Nico's going to do this year, assuming he's healthy, which, I mean, last year was a hamstring. I mean, it's not like he's had the crazy amount of soft tissue injuries or anything. So
it's just always something with him.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. It's like, it's always something. You're like, it's almost like the T. Higgins paradox, where we can't project you for 17 games, but if we did, it would be really awesome.
Yeah. Yes. Agreed.
So since let's catch the board up a little bit, we're midway through the second, and we're talking since we spoke, Brock Bowers, Brian Thomas, Christian McCaffrey, Trey McBride, Ashton Genty, and Drake London off the board so far. Now, we got CMC. Now, the team that started out with CMC also has Derrick Henry. So pretty much your running backs were locked up. I mean, you went with the older guard who are going to be awesome as long as they're healthy. So I love that start, especially for redraft. So, like, what do you have any sort of lean as far as a build goes for redraft so far? You just kind of wrapping your head around it. I know me and Casey have done a couple a couple best balls, so we're getting into the swing of it. It was ugly at first, but we're trying to go from ugly duckling to prom queen, Porsche to paperclip, if you will.
Well, when you do 6 straight months of Dynasty, right, redraft and best ball are going to be a little on the back of the brain. And once you get there, you start to see the slow progression of, okay, I like this team a little bit better. Oh, no, I like this team a little bit better, so you're just kind of getting into that swing. And obviously with OTAs and everything along that line kicking off, the excitement is there for sure. I think, well, that's a pretty good statement, Gordon. I really think I don't have a preference right now to answer your question. I don't have a preference of the build. What I do like, though, is I like seeing a lot of these older players pushed up, because again, we've had Dynasty on the brain for the last 6 months and talking rookies. I think the biggest call out that I have up to this point that we've read might be Genty versus Jacobs, and it's something that I've kind of been teetering over the last couple weeks with, because I feel like Genty still has the dynasty prowess, the rookie hype, right? And we know they still have a Raheem Mostert, and he's a shell of himself. But when Pete Carroll comes out and says, we want to use both of them, okay, we know the ground attack is there. And Josh Jacobs really doesn't have much competition. I know Marshawn Lloyd's in the house, and he was hurt last year, and we're going to see what he's going to do. But Josh Jacobs carried the Packers last year, and the Packers were really, really good. And I really firmly believe that it is a different ball game in the playoffs against the Eagles if that game is not in the snow, because Saquon took over, and the Eagles don't win the Super Bowl without Saquon. But if that game's not in the snow and Saquon doesn't have to take over like he did, I think that game turns out a little bit differently, which tells me that the Packers were a really, really good team last year, and they rode Josh Jacobs' coattails. So for me, taking Genty over Josh Jacobs as a gamble, if you truly believe he's going to come out and just dominate that way, that's fine. But I just have a hard time taking Josh Jacobs after Genty. That's just a personal preference, though.
No, I mean, that's a great point. I mean, the thing with Genty is that when a guy gets draft capital like that, I mean, they almost always come out and give you an RB1 season. I mean, Trent Richardson was an RB1 as the 3rd overall pick, in that putrid Cleveland Browns offense. Like, he was an RB1, right? So we're level setting expectations pretty high. I mean, Genty right here was the 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 running back off the board.
Yep.
And I mean, if he gives me, I don't feel like it's going to be an upset by any stretch of the imagination if he gives you top 6, gives you a top 6 season right out of the gate.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't disagree with that. You know, if I'm comparing Jacobs and Genty, for me in redraft, I think I want Jacobs. I want the known commodity of what I just saw it last year. And, you know, a whole new situation in Vegas. I don't know. That's just personal, but I have no issues with it.
No, it's yeah. No, I lean towards your thought process when it comes to this type of thing, because of the fact that, you know, we know that Josh Jacobs is locked for about 300 touches. And if it goes really well, like we get his second to last year with the Raiders, then we're talking about some diabolical work. I mean, he finishes the RB1 overall, right? So that's in the range of outcomes. And I feel like that gets forgotten with a guy like Josh Jacobs. I mean, he just got his first receiving touchdown ever after, like, he's the first player to record like 200 receptions with no receiving touchdown ever. And so I think that, I mean, there's RB1 overall is in his range of outcomes. I don't like, it's obviously an outlier outcome, but I mean, he's pretty locked for top 5 production in an elite offense where they're leaning on him. He didn't have any backfield competition this past year. And so we're talking about Josh Jacobs as a guy who's available in the second round, but he's going to touch the ball as much, if not more, than any of the guys that went off the board in the first round. The Saquon Barkley's, the Jahmyr Gibbs. I mean, Saquon Barkley had 482 touches across the playoffs and Super Bowl, but
right,
you know, regular season, we can bank on Josh Jacobs touching the ball 300 to 330 times. So, yeah. Anything else you wanted to say about just kind of build or anything?
No. I do like seeing the running backs pushed up a little bit. I think you'll find the value of the running back a little bit later here in a couple rounds. But you know, kind of what Ed was talking about with Josh Jacobs, a lot of tread was taken off, and then Gordon pointed out, he said, been burned too many times by backs without high receiving upside. I don't trust Jacobs, and I understand. I get it. PPR leagues, I absolutely understand that.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So that's fair. I think that he has the potential to catch passes. We've seen him catch passes before. I don't know that that's a function of the offense for Green Bay. And so that's a good point. Yeah. That's a good point. Like, if that's a sticking point for you, if you think that Ashton Genty is going to come in and he's going to catch more passes, that's what we're comparing here, Josh Jacobs or Ashton Genty. Mm-hmm. If you think that, you know, Ashton Genty, who had 700 yards receiving and 67 receptions over his last 2 years of college football, is going to come in and do that, then yeah, sure, take Genty. If you don't, and it's a tiebreaker, I tend to go with the better offense. I think Josh Jacobs is a stud. Where did we leave off of the draft? I think we went through the second round.
We got to right at Drake London, actually. Okay. I kind of jumped ahead with Josh Jacobs, but
yeah. So Drake London goes off the board. One of my favorites, especially in redraft. Dark horse candidate, finished wide receiver 1 overall, in my opinion, this year, just based off the target volume and the upgraded quarterback alone. Ladd McConkey, Josh Jacobs, Devon Achane. Oh, yeah. I like seeing that. Jonathan Taylor, AJ Brown, Bucky Irving, and Breece Hall go off the board here. Then we're followed by Jackson Smith and Jigba, Garrett Wilson, Josh Allen, Kenneth Walker, Kyron Williams, Lamar Jackson. So we got our first quarterback action here in the third. T. Higgins, Chase Brown, Devontae Adams, Rashee Rice, Terry McLaurin, Tyreek Hill. That rounds out the third round. Anything stick out to you here?
Obviously the quarterback's coming off the board. One quarterback league, not my favorite build. I prefer to have the value of a Dak Prescott. That's probably going to happen at this juncture in probably the 12th or 13th round, right? Yeah. Jared Goff. I mean, Baker Mayfield's probably going to fall to the 7th, 8th, 9th, right? So something like that. I kind of prefer, but I don't have an issue if you want to take the big old hammer at quarterback, and then top 3 rounds just not my flavor. I do like seeing Davante Adams into the third. That is the one player I was really interested to see where he was going to fall in this draft, because I think Davante Adams is destined for top 12, if not top 7, 8 this season.
Yeah, I mean, everything about his situation improved, and he was 17 points a game last year. So not really hard to create a narrative where, they basically recreated the greatest show on turf from their St. Louis days, and Davante Adams and Puka Nacua are going to go out there and absolutely rip it up. Now, healthy, Puka Nacua is one of the best wide receivers. I mean, you've seen the reception perception now. People are just, fondling themselves on the internet over how good Puka Nacua was, per the reception perception. I mean, it's the gospel, right? Yeah. So, adding Davante Adams to replace Cooper Kupp, I feel like that's a thing. That makes it feel like, to me, Stafford is a premium late round quarterback target. How do you feel about that, Dougie?
Absolutely. I mean, that's just another example of what I'm talking about. Some of these veteran quarterbacks that are going to fall, especially in redraft, right? You don't care if Stafford's here in 2026. That is, I mean, what are we talking about? He's still got his weapons. He adds Davante Adams. He loses Cooper Kupp, but he's been a shell of himself for the last couple of years. So I think Predator is back out, and I think he's going to absolutely eat up defenses this season.
Yeah, I mean, it's man, I have some aggressive visions for what I think the Rams offense could be this year.
Yeah.
And it's all fueled by just how much Matthew Stafford is willing to hyper target the like his premium targets. There was a tweet out there, I think it was Ian Hartitz. He talked about whether like the Rams fantasy points and then how consolidated the target shares are. And I think the Rams wide receiver room had finished like 6th, 5th. They've never been outside like the top 6 under Sean McVay in fantasy points as a wide receiver room. So it just seems like they're one of the biggest value stacks out there.
Yes, totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, it's nasty. It's nasty work, man. And it excites me to think that these guys are going off the board. If you knew that Davante Adams was going to be a top 12 wide receiver and you could book it, like how early would you take that guy? But, that's enough Rams love for today. Let's get back to the board a little bit. We finished out the 3rd round. Let's start the 4th round. It starts out with old man Mike Evans, who we referenced earlier in the show. My guy, Chuba Hubbard, Alvin Kamara. That feels like really, really solid value for Alvin Kamara. James Cook, Jaden Daniels, Omarion Hampton, George Kittle, Marvin Harrison, DJ Moore, DK Metcalf, Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrow close out the 4th round. What are we thinking here? So we're through 4 rounds. We've almost got the 5th round knocked out. Anything that stands out to you right here?
Yeah, there's a couple players that I absolutely love, and then there's a couple players that I just do not want any part of this early in the draft. Yeah, the value of Kamara, I think, is the first point. I think that is an amazing slot value in the 4th round. Kellen Moore's come out and said he's going to feed it through Kamara. We've already seen him play with a good quarterback. We've seen him play with a bad quarterback. We know that he's unfazed as long as he's on the field. I know he's 29, but at the same time, he is a PPR machine, and they're going to feed him the pill. So I think Kamara at the beginning of the 4th is a great value for the 2025 season. The other pick that I absolutely love the value is George Kittle. Like, holy crap, dude. Middle of the 4th round, when you're taking Brock Bowers at the end of the 1st and Trey McBride at the beginning of the 2nd, why don't you just give me Kittle 2 rounds later, please? Thank you. I mean, that is insane value. Smash. I mean, you came out with a I think it was a tweet talking about I don't want to reference who you were talking in reference to, but you came out and kind of contradicted what a report had said as far as yards per target with Kittle and other tight ends. And I really like what you said. And I think that Kittle was number 1 by a mile, but I think the value in the middle of the 4th is just crazy right here. The other player I just do not like in this range is DJ Moore. Okay. And even Amari and Hampton, to be honest. Okay. I think Hampton's a little early, and I think DJ Moore's definitely early.
Yeah, I mean the thing with Kittle is just that he's quite literally the only tight end to ever post back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons on less than 100 targets. So he's an efficiency monster. He was tight end 1 in points per game. That's tight end 1, not tight end tight end 1,
Yeah.
the overall tight end 1 in points per game last year. And he's available, and this is redraft, right?
Yep.
So he's available 2 full rounds after Trey McBride and 3 full rounds after Brock Bowers.
Right.
Make it make sense.
That's what I'm saying. That's that's my favorite pick of the draft so far is Kittle in the middle of the 4th.
Yeah, and you already hit the nail on the head with Kamara. I absolutely love everything you said there. It's just easy. It's easy money. If we had any sort of confidence in who was going to be playing quarterback, that gets pushed up probably into the 3rd, if not the 2nd round. He was on pace to rush for his first 1,000-yard season in spite of all of the crap that was going on. No Chris Olave, no Derek Carr, just putrid offensive line play, and he was still on pace to hit his first 1,000-yard season under Clint Kubiak. Now Clint Kubiak goes up to the Seattle Seahawks, and we're talking about Kenneth Walker potentially breaking out. But I'm with you as far as your disdain for the selection of DJ Moore, Mr. Denniston Moore Jr., in the 4th round here. So let's talk about that a little bit before I catch everybody up on the board.
If you've watched our show, you already know how we feel about DJ Moore. I think there's just a lot of weapons now in Chicago. Ben Johnson wants to play with his toys, right? And they're not going to use capital on
Gotta have those toys.
right? They're not on Loveland and Burden to not feature them. You've already got Komet. You've already got Roma Dunze, who's an ascending player, and DJ Moore before the end of the 4th it's just early to me. It's just early. I don't think the target share is going to be there. I think you're going to run into a situation where he's going to get a little pissy missy, right? I mean, when he gets in his head, he's not George Pickens in his head, but he still gets to be crybaby a little bit when he's not getting the ball. And I kind of foresee that happening this year. I think he'll definitely have some peak weeks. So in best ball, DJ Moore's a fine pick, but I just can't take him in a redraft where I feel confident slotting him in this instance as my number 2 receiver every week. It's just not for me.
That's fair. I mean, that's completely fair. The thing with it, the thing that I have the most issue with is he got 140 targets last year. And like that the body language for me was more damning than anything. There obviously wasn't a fall off in play. Like he did some really cool stuff when they got him the ball. Like when they started manufacturing the screens and all that stuff, it went really well. But I just don't know that Ben Johnson kind of threw a shot at the bow, shot over the bow at DJ Moore when they talked about effort and all that stuff. But then like there's just not been I haven't heard the positive things that you want to hear from a guy that a team paid $110 million to. Yeah. So yeah, I'm right there with you. But we don't have to belabor the point about how much we're both off of DJ Moore. Let's talk about the 5th round here. Devonta Smith comes off the board of the 5th round. I'm going to come back to that because I want to get your opinion on something. Okay. Sam Laporta, RJ Harvey, Joe Mixon, who ironically, I don't know if you guys know this, but Joe Mixon and RJ Harvey are the same age. Did you know that? Cortland Sutton, George Pickens, James Conner, Zay Flowers, David Montgomery, Ted McMillan, Calvin Ridley, and Jameson Williams close out the 5th round. Patrick Mahomes, Quinshon Judkins, Baker Mayfield, Xavier Worthy, TJ Hawkinson. I almost forgot. I almost called him Taj Hawkinson. That's not it at all. That wasn't right. Jerry Jeudy, Travis Hunter. Oh, the unicorn. Bo Nix, Chris Olave, Travion Henderson, Jalen Waddle, Jordan Addison close out the 6th round. So I wanted to get your opinion on what you're doing with Devonta Smith this year.
Oh, God, I knew you were going to go there. I have been so back and forth on Devonta Smith, and I woosah. I'm just very scared that they're going to continue to feature Barkley and he's not going to get the targets that we want him to get. I think he's a fine number 3 on your team. If you're wanting him to produce like a number 2, I think you're probably stretching it. So I really hope you have some players they're going to put up some points each week for you, because he's not inconsistent, right? Like he's a fairly consistent player. You're going to get 5-6 targets, maybe 60-70 yards, maybe a touchdown. You'll have some weeks a little bit better, some that are a little lower. But I just, where he went in the value in this draft, I don't like it as much as some of the receivers that went after him. I'll say it like that.
Now let me throw some. I'm not sure if you're familiar with his performance last year, because I had this discussion with someone else, and let me ask you if this will sway you at all.
Okay.
So in this limited passing offense, he commanded a 28% target share last year. Okay. He was around 7 targets a game.
Right.
Like right there around 7 targets a game. And he scored a career high in touchdowns, and he was about 15 points a game.
15 points a game, solid. And if he's going to be consistent as far as the targets and the target share, I mean, again, it's for me, it's one of those players that I want to put in my lineup, knowing that I'm going to get a baseline, right? Like knowing that I don't have to count on him to win me a week. I'm just afraid that floor or that baseline is not high enough to compensate where he's being taken in a draft like this. I don't dislike him. I've always liked Devontae Smith. I feel like he's, again, one of the safer receivers that you can get out of the top 2-3 tiers, right? 4 tiers, maybe, depending on where you have him. But I just can't justify taking him at, what are we at, 49 overall? Like, there's receivers on the board that I would enjoy having more on my team.
Now, I wholeheartedly agree with that. The reason that I brought that up is because of the fact that it does not feel like he was 15 points a game, which was actually a career high for him last year. It does not feel that way, especially not when you click the button. I mean, we know that Saquon is the straw that stirs the drink there. No Diddy if needed. We know how good Saquon is. We know what they want to do. We know what they're going to do with the best offensive line in the NFL. The problem is this price point for me.
Yep.
Like taking him with this particular build, I have a bit of an issue taking him because he's going to have to be your 2. And you selected a bunch, like Jackson Smith and Jigba is very solid, but Devonta Smith and Jordan Addison as your second and third wide receivers, or 2 wide receivers and a flex, it adds you're adding a lower floor, in my opinion, with a limited ceiling. Now he could do exactly what he did during the championship week and, give you a massive performance, but I feel like you're fighting a losing battle. I mean, he's 30 points in championship week. That was absolutely insane. But outside of that, he gave you a 20 point. He gave you 2 20-pointers. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 20-pointers. One being week 15, 28 points, and then obviously the number 4 overall finish in championship week. And then outside of that, you've got an 18.7 here. So you're getting spike weeks, but when it's bad, it's bad. So 73, like week 10 against Dallas, 3.4 points. Week 11 against Washington, 6.9 points. Nice.
Week 7.
Yeah. Week 7, 0.8 points on an 81% snap share. Like that's what you're buying. And so that volatility, obviously it all comes out in the wash because he does give you 30-point weeks and he gave you 4 20-point weeks. But when it goes bad, and we just like a little bit more safety there. Or you could throw caution to the wind and just say, hey, some weeks I'm going to win by a whole bunch. Some weeks Devonta Smith's going to give me 0.8 points. And there's nothing I can do about that.
Well, and that's what I was saying is like, even in my head, without going through a game log and looking at his points per game, like in my head, I feel like he has a safe floor. Like I truly do. Like I'm not ever afraid to start him. I just can't count on him to win me a week. That's what I have in my head, right? For me, it's kind of the polar opposite of DJ Moore. Like DJ Moore, I need him to win me weeks, and that's why I prefer him in a best ball league. I would never take Devontae Smith in a best ball league. Like it's just, for me, it's ingrained in my head for the last couple of seasons that he has a safe floor, and you kind of proved me wrong in that, right? You're spitting out some of those games, and I'm like, well, okay, maybe he does have a little more volatility than I expected, but I think this point right here is exactly what I was thinking, because as I'm looking down the board, that was the one name that just stuck out in my head. Smooth Criminal says Pickens over Devontae Smith, in my opinion. Preach. Yeah. Like, that's what I'm talking about. That's somebody that I know that he's not exactly the good baseline, and I know he doesn't really have like a safe floor, but damn, I know he's going to put up some digits.
Now we are projecting George Pickens to step into this role and not behave like a complete and utter psychopath. Like that's the issue, is that if he doesn't get the ball, or if it doesn't go, he's one of the most explosive players. I'm looking at Player Profiler right now. Third in receiving EPX, 17 explosive plays in basically 14 games. Once Russ took over for that little stretch there, I think he was like the wide receiver 8 in points per game over that stretch of games, like right before he pulled his hamstring or whatever. Mm-hmm. Now, with George Pickens, we talk about not having a floor. Now, this is again in the Pittsburgh offense. We're looking at week 2, 4.9 points. Week 5, 5.6 points. Week 6, 8.3 points. Then Russ takes over, 22.1 points, 11.4 points against the Giants. That was with 2 called back touchdowns. That's another thing. He has the most called back touchdowns in the history of the NFL, apparently. And then 20.5 points, and then 16.9 points the first week against Baltimore. And he misses a couple games, and then he, the Cleveland game, the snow game, he was off to a hot start, and that didn't work out. And then Cincinnati, he was off to another hard start, and then got all the penalties, and they had to go away from him. And then during the fantasy playoffs, he just embarrassed us. Week 17, 8 points against Kansas City, runs the wrong route, quits on the play, whatever. But to your point, I think that this year the ceiling seems so much more high for George Pickens because of the fact that he is a unique talent that we've seen thrive in a bare bones offensive environment that nobody really is excited about. He's giving you incredible weeks. He functioned as the one there last year and put up 900 yards in 14 games. And like I said, a very limited passing attack. We've never seen that Arthur Smith passing attack target a wide receiver more than 117 times in the season. And that was Drake London. That was Drake London in the first year of Desmond Ridder, I believe. So maybe it goes differently with Aaron Rodgers this year. Going back to the 4th round where we talked about players we didn't like, I do not like DK Metcalf at all this year. Even though there's nobody there, there's no he's not Devontae Adams. He could score a bunch of touchdowns. He led the league in end zone targets a couple years ago. That didn't really turn anything besides like 5 touchdowns. So I'm just a little bit out.
And that's fair, but for that team build for FF Garrett, DK Metcalf as my 3 is feeling really good. I mean, it's obviously at the behest of getting another running back that he probably could have used, but to pair DK with Jefferson and AJ Brown, that is salty.
Yeah. Getting the Ole Miss band back together to round out the wide receiver room is pretty salty business. Yeah. So just to catch us up on the last couple rounds, did I do Jordan Addison and J-Mo?
You've left off with J-Mo at the end of the 5th.
Okay. All right. Cool. So, no, I did Mahomes and Judkins and all that.
Oh yeah, my fault. Yeah, you did
good. So we're gonna go back. Last couple rounds, Isaiah Pacheco comes off the board. Aaron Jones, Travis Kelce, old man fighting father time. Travis Kelce, Tony Pollard, Roma Dunze, Tyrone Tracy, Caleb Johnson, DeAndre Swift, Evan Ingram, Najee Harris, Stephon Diggs, Brian Robinson, Jalen Warren goes off the board in the 8th round. Matthew Golden, Chris Godwin, don't know if his ankle's okay. Juwan Jennings, third and Juwan, Khalil Shakir, Travis Etienne, Brandon Ayuk, Jacoby Myers, David Njoku, Josh Downs, Ricky Pearsall, and Cam Scatterbo go off the board to round out the 8th round. All right, so we've got 24 more picks off the board. What sticks out to you here? What do you love? What don't you love right here?
Within the last couple rounds that you mentioned, you obviously see the cliff of the running back start to fall off, right? You see a lot of running backs that you're kind of like, eek, but a lot of these teams have taken running backs already, so they're in a pretty good position as far as using that as depth pieces. There's another good point is there's some really good receiver value still out there. And even tight ends. The tight ends are still looking pretty good. And we know that we've been talking tight ends all off season, but there's still going to be good off season or late round tight ends here. But I really like the depth that we're still staring at in the receiver rooms. Specifically, I like the Diggs. I like the Godwin, Juwan. That's obviously a good pick. Jacoby Myers, very underrated number 2. So I really like a lot of the receivers in this range. The tailbacks really start to scare me, though. You started with Pacheco, Aaron Jones. I think those are fine. Tony Pollard, obviously, I think is going to be fine. Then you get into the Tyrone Tracy. We don't know what that Giants backfield split's going to look like, right? Would have been nice if he could have come back around and grabbed Scatterbo, who ended up going in that next round after his next pick, but he did need a third receiver, so I don't argue that pick. But you see Caleb come off, and then Swift, Najee. Yeah, that's where it starts to get in. Brian Robinson, Jalen Warren, you're like, but then the greatest pick ever in that round is probably going to be Etienne. So,
all right, so you've broken the seal. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it a little bit here. This is one of the most. I feel like there are a few players who are going to decide who wins in 2025 one way or the other. Travis Etienne is a decision point, pivot point type of player here. So let me ask you this. What side of the fence do you fall on when you're talking about Travis Etienne?
I have no reason to believe that Travis Etienne is not going to step up and be at least a high end 2, but borderline 1 running back this season. I just don't see how he's not going to be. I don't feel like he's being pushed to the side. I mean, everything they've said, from the GM down has been, Travis Etienne, he's in our plans. We're not, he's not necessarily going to be in this massive workload timeshare. And dude, we're 2 seasons away from the man being a top 5 running back.
Top 3, brother. Top 3.
Okay, there you go. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it's just really hard. I feel like the dip in this is crazy, and I really think that everybody should be going out and buying Travis Etienne, and especially in redraft. I mean, we're buying him. You and I are buying him in Dynasty still.
Yeah, we pulled off a pretty fun little trade in that Devy league.
Yeah, well, I give in to Chev too much. That's what just so everybody's aware.
That's not. First of all, phrasing it like that is crazy. Second of all,
that was all Diddy, man.
Second of all, I think that I'm right there with you. I don't understand why. So he dipped from. I want to make sure I get this right. So I'm gonna pull Travis Etienne up because I really want to make sure that I hit the point home for people in the range that he's going and what he's shown you that he's capable of. So he was 16 points a game in full PPR in 2023. He dipped to 8.7 points a game in 2024. So let's just split the difference, okay? Let's say he goes to about 12.5 points a game. And you're getting him in the 8th, what is that? The 8th round?
That is yes, 8-6.
Yeah, you're getting him in the 8th round there. So like he and DeAndre Swift's another one. I feel like we're just ignoring DeAndre Swift here. Like 1 season bet.
Yeah.
I feel like we're completely ignoring DeAndre Swift. Who is going to tote the tater for the Chicago Bears if it's not DeAndre Swift?
Roschon Johnson.
Caleb.
I was joking.
Caleb. No, I mean, but that's the thing is like people are talking themselves because we have so much Swift hurt / disappointment because he got jettisoned when Ben Johnson was the offensive coordinator, which I don't know how much pull Ben Johnson had when they traded DeAndre Swift, him being a new offensive coordinator and all. Because of these things and because he's underwhelmed with that Philadelphia Eagles offensive line, he was just okay. We don't really respect DeAndre Swift, but he had 295 touches last year. And I don't think that number is going to go. I don't think that number is going down. And I think those touches are more valuable in a Ben Johnson offense.
Yeah.
Do we
Agreed.
not?
No, totally agree.
Right? So like there's a lot of value to be had. I personally for redraft, I'm taking ETN and DeAndre Swift over Caleb Johnson right now. That might be a hot take. That might be a hot take, but I personally like taking either one of those guys before Caleb Johnson in redraft.
Yeah, I don't have any issue with that at all. I mean, it's obviously in the neighborhood in this draft, right? But I have no problem with that at all. I'd like to see what Caleb's going to do, especially behind Rodgers, and see how he's going to fit into this Arthur Smith offense and everything along those lines. You know, I kind of feel like we know what ETN's going to, at least what the featured back in Jacksonville is going to look like, I should say, right? And then DeAndre Swift being the only back really worth anything in Chicago right now. I have no issues with that at all.
Yeah. I mean, like I think we're in lockstep. Like it just seems like the obvious thing that we're gonna look back on and be like, man, why were we not higher on a guy that has shown you that they're a bona fide RB1 in a functional offense.
Yeah.
And then another guy that's handling all the volume, and they didn't really add anyone who scares you from a touch competition standpoint.
Right. Yep.
Let me run through the last couple rounds real quick, and then we'll song and dance. I'm gonna ask you what you like, what you don't like.
That's cool.
So we lead off the 9th round here. Debo Samuel, Jaden Reed, Emeka Egbuka. Definitely want to come back to that. Ramondre Stevenson, Jonnu Smith, Justin Herbert, Cooper Kupp, Javonte, yes, Snail Williams, Zach Charbonnet, Mark Andrews, Colston Loveland, Jared Goff, Darnell Mooney leads off the 10th round. Tyler Warren, Kyler Murray, Keon Coleman, Trey Harris, Jordan Mason, Tucker Kraft, Freight Train Tuck, J.K. Dobbins, Luther Burden, Ty J. I want to call him Tyree Spears. Ty J. Spears, Jake Ferguson from State Farm, and Dalton Kincaid close that round out. What do we like here? Let's start. I'll lead it off this time. I love the value on Emeka Egbuka here.
Okay.
Love the value on Emeka Egbuka. I think that I was a little disappointed because I didn't want him to go to such a crowded wide receiver room. But then I started doing, I'm a contracts guy. I started looking at the contracts, and Mike Evans only has a void year after this year. And, Chris Godwin's coming off the ankle injury. Jalen McMillan was a 5th round pick. And, they spent 19th overall on Emeka Egbuka because they wanted to make a strength a super strength. So I can't pass this up in the 9th round. I mean, this is the guy that has a chance to come out and just be a bona fide wide receiver 2 on a weekly basis, just right out the gate. I don't think that they're drafting stash. This is a team that probably views themselves as a contender, and they paid Baker Mayfield the money, so we're gonna keep the cupboard stocked for Baker Mayfield here. What do you think about that, Doug? I kind of took the floor away from you for a second. How do you feel about that?
No, I have no issues with that at all. I'm probably not as high in 2025 on Egbuka as you probably are. But everything you said is absolutely valid. I think I just really feel like there's still going to be the targets for Evans and for Godwin, right? And for Bucky. And we'll see what Kate Otton's got to contribute. And I'm not saying it's a lot, but I don't foresee the target share being there for Egbuka. His snap share is probably going to be pretty high. I think he will be on the field. And when he's on the field, he could get the targets, but I don't foresee them automatically already skipping out on what Mike Evans and Godwin have done for them. And I feel like there's still another element to the passing game that involves Cade Otton when everybody is on the field. So that's just kind of my take on Igbuka. I like him. I like him a lot. I had no issues with him going to the Bucs in the first round. He's obviously going to rise through attrition. But I just don't foresee it being in 2025 as much as 2026 and beyond. And that's my take on him. No issues though.
No, I mean, those are the voicings of a man who's exercising a bit of caution, and that's probably what you need to do. But I think that Emeka Egbuka is going to show us how good he is at football, since he's had to live in the shadow of quite literally one of the best wide receiver prospects we've ever seen. And then before that, one of the best wide receiver prospects we've ever seen. And then before that, a 5-star recruit who was one of the best wide receiver prospects in Ohio State history. So for me, I think him finally getting to have kind of, be a star in his own show. Yeah. I think that's something that we're going to be surprised by. But at this point in the round, he's got some great wide receiver depth. This is Egbuka's his 5th wide receiver he selected. I love every single one of the wide receivers he selected that are not named DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman. But I love what he's doing here. So yeah, that's just, heavy wide receiver all the time. Let's just, we'll figure the rest of it out. He's a little thin at running back. Just kind of went 0 RB a little bit here. RJ Harvey, Travion Henderson, Tyjae Spears. If it hits, it's going to hit. But if it doesn't, you're going to be bugging everybody for trades. But another thing that sticks out to me is the middle of the 10th round here, 10-7, Tucker Kraft. I've been yapping about Tucker Kraft quite a bit. I think that he has a chance to ascend to one of those roles where we're talking about a tight end who's the functioning number one in an offense. And that was what we saw Green Bay struggle with last year. Now, you talked about Josh Jacobs being just a workhorse bell cow. They are going to have to throw the forward pass in 2025. And so when they throw the forward pass, I think that it's going to go to Tucker Kraft, and it's going to go to Tucker Kraft a lot. So talk to me a little bit about what your thought process is as far as Tucker Kraft. Am I foolish for being this bullish on Tucker Kraft? Do I think that he's a massive value in these drafts? Yes. But talk to me a little bit about what you think about Tucker Kraft for 2025. Am I foolish for this?
No, I don't think you're foolish at all. And especially look where he fell. What is that? Tight end 13 in this draft. That's fantastic value. With his yards per target that you threw up, I think it was on Twitter as well. Like you threw that up and he was 7th or something crazy in all of NFL. We're not talking about tight end 7. We're talking about NFL 7, yes. Right? So, yes. Metrics like that really do go a long way, especially when you're talking about limited targets and the dispersal of the ball in an offense where you don't have a target hog. I think somebody like Tucker Kraft is perfect for this, dude. Tucker Kraft is a great tight end. He is a better tight end than Luke Musgrave. He didn't come out as high in the prospect rank, right? He didn't get I think Musgrave was a 3rd round pick and Kraft was a 5th round pick or something along those lines. Yeah. But I think the biggest thing that you look at is he's a good NFL tight end and he plays the tight end position well. And he is, you've actually made me come around on Tucker Kraft a lot in the last probably month after our discussions and talks. And he's somebody that I'm definitely seeing high, but tight end 13 for 2025, dude, that's crazy. I get it. The names in front of him, I can't argue with, but that's great value. We're talking is that the 10th round?
11th round, 10th round,
10-7. That's crazy. So yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. I did want to point out, I left Gordon's message up there about Kyler Murray forever. And the reason I left it up there is because Gordon threw that up in like round 5 and was like, I can't believe Kyler Murray is still on the board. What great, just screaming great value. And I was just going to leave it there until Kyler Murray got drafted. Dude, 5 rounds and 15 minutes later, Kyler Murray gets drafted. Like, that's crazy. I'm totally with you, Gordon. Like, that is exactly right. You know, and it's your quarterback too. Had he not taken had Kokobe not taken Baker Mayfield and, you know, got his second running back or his fourth receiver, I would not have been upset at that at all. If you're going to get Kyler Murray down as far as you did in the 10th round, holy cow. But that's what we were talking about earlier, right? Talking about all these quarterbacks falling. I mean, Caleb in the 11th, Dak in the 11th, Purdy, Fields, Love in the 12th, Drake May in the 13th. Like, that's why you wait on quarterback in a one quarterback league. This is the reason. We talk about it every single time. Doesn't matter if it's Dynasty, doesn't matter if it's redraft, it does not matter. This is exactly why you wait, because you literally just took Brock Purdy in the 12th round. I mean,
getting a quarterback with a top 6 upside, top 6 finish, and I still believe easily top. If we're talking about Baker finishing quarterback 4, we're talking about Jared Goff back-to-back seasons, quarterback 10, quarterback 7. Brock Purdy can do that. He could very easily do that for you. I feel like more than ever, I'm being convinced that this year is the year to go heavy, late round quarterback, late round tight end.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, it's early. It's early. We'll have to see how injuries shake out and things like that. But there's just so much value on the older running backs, because people are going to say, well, we're due for some regression because of the fact that the running back stayed super healthy this year. There's still going to be a lot of good running backs. There is going to be, in my opinion, there is going to be a correction and a regression to the mean in terms of what the running back position, like basically all the top 12 running backs essentially stayed healthy outside of Christian McCaffrey last year.
Right.
We're going to have a little more injury variance, I think, on that front.
Right.
But there's still some tremendous value. I mean, we can't project that. We don't know. If we knew who it was, we just wouldn't draft him. But I still think there's tremendous value there. There's tremendous value on the receivers. So I feel perfectly fine in 2025 waiting and taking late round tight ends. I mean, you've got Tucker Kraft, you've got Tyler Warren in this range. You've got Mark Andrews, who, I mean, an efficiency monster, the all-time leading touchdown receptions for the Ravens franchise ever, is available right here to you in the 9th round. So for me, I think that, this just kind of solidifies the fact that I'm probably, unless everybody comes off the board in the manner in which they did, and I'm kind of sitting right here at the 112, even still, I can't bring myself to not click the button on Christian McCaffrey or Ashton Genty. Or if you wanted to get real spicy and just take Josh Jacobs, start a draft out with Brian Thomas and Christian McCaffrey, or Brian Thomas and Josh Jacobs, or Brian Thomas and Ashton Genty. Mm-hmm. I'm perfectly fine doing that, and then just figuring out the tight end position later, especially if I'm not playing in a tight end premium league.
Oh, absolutely. No, I totally agree with that. And Garrett hopped on and he says, he said, I guess I can just post it for everybody instead of just reading. I went rogue with the 3 quarterbacks. Although I think that'd be my strategy in real league, to trade for a running back. You know what? And Garrett, your point in this instance, until he took a quarterback, King Koopa had no quarterback, and he doubled up and he took Stroud and Lawrence. And it was a point I was going to make, but you could get into a situation where you just start gobbling these quarterbacks up towards this later into the round, or the draft, and guess what? They're gonna have to start somebody like Aaron Rodgers. And I'm not saying Aaron Rodgers is gonna be terrible, but in a 12-team league, I do not want Aaron Rodgers as my starting quarterback. I'm sorry, I do not. He's probably not even gonna see my team, right? No. But I think being smart and selective of when you're taking these quarterbacks that are falling. He ended up doubling up and he took Stafford and Bryce Young. That's a pretty good move as well. So I like it. Probably not the preferred method, but if you're just kind of picking and taking one, you're preventing somebody else from getting a quarterback that is worth it. And Gordon also made another great point either. He said, I feel like I rarely lose to someone's quarterback. It's always the guy who has 2 alpha receivers that eats my lunch, fade the quarterback. And that's a great point, right? Like, that's a great point, because I don't ever feel like I lose to a quarterback in a 1-quarterback league. I don't,
Right. I mean, well, the problem is the 1 quarterback that you lose to, the quarterbacks that you lose to are all going in the top 36, 36 to 48 picks. The guys that you'll actually lose to on a week, the Joe Burrows, Josh Allen's, Lamar Jackson's, the Jaden Daniels, those guys are all going super duper early.
Right.
But they're foregoing some value on that end so that you can, so that they can have that boom week from a quarterback, but you're giving up a guy who could give you RB1 overall on multiple weeks or RB1 overall on the season. If you're taking that guy, like say, for instance, Chase Brown was RB5 from weeks 5 to 17 or something like that, or 8 to 17. That's what it was. RB5 overall. So you take Lamar Jackson instead of him. I can't fault you for that. T. Higgins is wide receiver 3 in points per game. Like, I might construct my lineup a little bit differently. I just don't like taking that shot, because if they are not absolute omega level difference makers in your lineup, it is not going to feel good when somebody comes in with just an absolute unit of a wide receiver or running back room and they whip your ass because you don't have the firepower to match. And Lamar Jackson was just okay, which is probably like 18 to 20 points, but you're picking him because he can give you 40-point weeks. He can win you weeks with just his legs alone. And so when it doesn't happen, that doesn't feel great.
Right. Like, for instance, look at the Josh Allen owner, slot 3, FF Garrett, and then look at slot 5 and look at Lentz 443, right? You take Josh Allen in the third, or you can take Kyron Williams. And then if Lentz hadn't taken another quarterback and he gets stuck with Michael Penix right now, would you rather have Michael Penix and Kyron Williams, or would you rather have Josh Allen and Roschon Johnson, who was the running back taken in that round of Michael Penix?
Oh, that's nasty work.
Right?
That's nasty work.
Like, that's not an issue, right? Like, there's no contest in that. Obviously you want the Penix Kyron side. So that's what we're saying as far as the quarterback situation goes. But Michael Penix going there. Trevor Lawrence and Bryce Young also falling there in the 14th round. Holy shit, man, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So
there's just so much value to be had in a one quarterback, punting quarterback. And then I'll tell you what, before I finish that thought, I want to point out the fact that myself personally, my late round quarterback choice is Justin Fields. Now, I know he's quarterback 11 on Underdog, but I don't understand how, if he plays 17 games, he's not a top 6 quarterback.
Well, and pairing him with another quarterback towards the end, kind of what he did. If FF Garrett had not taken Josh Allen here and just stuck with whatever, and then goes Fields and Drake May, I have no problems with that. I think that is a great roster build. I think you would be in a great place quarterback wise. And this is an issue, Garrett. Like, I know you popped on, but like, this is an issue, dude. Like, I'd be flipping Josh Allen for a premier player, even if it's would end up being a 4th, 5th, 6th round running back or receiver, because the value of Fields and May is going to be fantastic for you. So
this range. So Josh Allen, we moved down a couple rounds. Like, we're talking, I know you wouldn't move him for Devonta Smith, but you could probably take, George Pickens gets off to a hot start. This dude isn't really, he's got Lamar Jackson, so he's not going to deal with you. Like, you just kind of pigeonhole yourself, because now we're looking for guys who might potentially, like, you go over here to Eagles Nation. If this were a real league, you go over here to Eagles Nation, like, what's he going to give you to get Josh Allen? Now, if you sell him after like a 60-point performance against the Rams, then maybe we're cooking here. But could you get a Chuba straight up?
No, because he took Caleb Stafford and Bryce Young. I'm totally good with those quarterbacks. You know what I'm saying? I have no problem. I'd be trying to deal with JJ Higgs, because he's got Geno Smith as his only quarterback. That's who I'd be trying to probably target. Let
me get that one pulled up. There we go. JJ Higgs.
Yeah, right next to him. Like, that's the target, right? That's who you are trying to make a deal with. And if you walk out of there with, I hate to say it, but even a Joe Mixon, like, I'm probably not upset with that. You're a little deficient in the running back room. You're kind of relying on some dart throws to hit, and Joe Mixon will be a fine high end 2 at the end of the day, but I don't know. That's just a scenario. There's plenty, and every draft you guys do is going to be a little bit different, but I wouldn't be, in this instance, had he taken Chase Brown, right, later in the third, Chase Brown went. If he had taken Chase Brown instead of Josh Allen right there, his team's completely different.
Yeah.
His team's probably, I mean, I'd have to go through every single team, but that's a competitive team. Let's say that.
Yeah, we're walking through the door knowing that we've got a chance to win every single week with AJ Brown, Justin Jefferson, DK Metcalf. Yeah, I mean, you're walking in right there. Your 2 wide receiver spots are locked in. I mean, that's 16 points a game. It's 19 points a game. DK Metcalf, whatever he gives you, 12 to 15 points a game with the spike week upside, with the touchdowns with Aaron Rodgers, RJ Harvey. Like, your team, your construction feels a lot better with RJ Harvey as an RB2 or a flex as opposed to being the guy who's going to bring home the bacon for you.
Yep. You're hoping Harvey or Travion Henderson hits, right? One of those guys hit and you are cruising. So
yeah. I mean, and there's a lot of people who think that Travion Henderson is going to walk into, one Patriot way or whatever it is and absolutely just start out and be the RB1. And I'm here to tell you that if Ramondre Stevenson's not fumbling the fucking football, that's probably not going to happen.
Agreed. I don't foresee how Travion Henderson finishes as a 1 this year. Like, it's just not going to happen. There's a lot of things that are going to have to go his way. I think in a full PPR, obviously he's going to be a weapon for you. But if you're banking on him being your number 1, I think you're in for a rude awakening this year.
It's not going to feel good. No. I don't think it's going to feel good. I wanted to make sure that we brought this up. You're right. I'm going to be absolutely. Guess what? I'm going to be on this channel being absolutely insufferable with the "I told you so." Yeah,
I am laying brick, baby.
Yeah, I might show up with an actual wall of bricks and just do the show for like Wilson from Home Improvement, just peeking over the bricks if Justin Fields hits. Yeah, just this right here.
Just barely.
Right there. That's all you're gonna get. But yeah, so who are some of the late round picks that you love that you see right here?
Okay, so yeah, let's run through the last part of this draft real quick. Without reading every single name, I think the ones that are glaring buys for me at this juncture, and we're going to exclude quarterbacks. I think we've had enough quarterback talk, right? Sure. I think you made a really good point earlier about the tight ends, and I think that's kind of what I want to highlight. The first point on is that little glut of Freiermuth, Strange, Likely, Henry. Those are great picks, and I was waiting for Freiermuth to go off the board because the man finished as tight end 9 last year. Tight end 9. The weapons didn't change, right? I mean, you lost Pickens, you got DK Metcalf. You have somebody that loves to sling it around the field in Aaron Rodgers, and he's much better at doing that than Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to see Pat Freiermuth not finishing again as a top 12 or a number 1 in a 12-team league, and he's going as what are we at? Tight end 8, 19?
Yeah.
20? Like, that's crazy, dude. That's insane value. And I think it's a good backup. I mean, it's Chauncey's second tight end behind Hawk. I think that's a fantastic pick. So I think the tight ends for me in this part of the draft are great value. But then there's just some fan favorites that we got, man, and it's Seti T in the 13th. And
I knew it. I mean,
dude, I can't get off Seti T's nuts, man. I just can't do it. I love the man. I mean, he threw up weeks last year, and as soon as he got that concussion, I immediately was trying to trade for him in every single league, because the second he comes back, he is going to be a great target for whoever we decide that wants to throw 15-yard passes, right? Like, we know it's not going to go very far. We know it's not going to be very often. But when they do, Cedric Tillman is going to be catching some balls. So he's one of my favorites. I really do like, I'm really starting to buy into this whole, 2 or 3 headed monster, in the Jets backfield. Like I've been reading a lot, and I'm really starting to, buy into the fact that I'm getting kind of concerned for Breece Hall.
Don't say that.
I know. I am, dude. So I really like, my point is I really like the Braylon Allen pick in 13th. I think it's just a good safety net, if nothing else. If nothing transpires, you've got the handcuff to Breece Hall, right? But this late in the draft, you're trying to get some high end dart throws, and I think that's one of them. Yeah, and I mean, you know, Ed's always gonna point out your boy. There it is.
Listen, man, like that's either going to be my claim to fame, or I'm going to end up on fucking fantasy receipts. 1000%. That's the only two ways that this goes, without question. Now, Jose is a good buddy of mine. We played Madden together for years, and so he's in the fantasy space. I want to thank everybody who came out. Those of you who are still watching, who came out to draft this tonight. Like I said, we're going to be launching this channel, the Redraft channel, FF Redraft, here shortly. So, you know, just try to get some mock drafts in, get some ADP, get our thoughts and feelings together. I just absolutely, I love the point that you made about Pat Freiermuth. I'm jumping around a little bit, but I love the point that you made about Pat Freiermuth. 78 targets last year, 7 career high, tied his career high, 7 touchdowns. I think that 78 targets could very easily be 100. Now, we are dealing with Arthur Smith, who I hate for wide receivers, but I love for tight ends, because he does target the tight ends quite a bit. So Pat Freiermuth currently like 17th, tight end 17 off the board, I believe, on underdog ADP. I think that he's a lock to finish. I mean, he was tight end 9, like you said last year. I think he's a lock to finish top 7, maybe top 6 with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that touchdown thing, the thing that I don't think people realize is that Aaron Rodgers is going to throw these dudes touchdowns.
Yeah.
Like that's going to happen. This is not going to be one of the worst offenses in the league unless him and Arthur Smith just absolutely hate each other, which is a possibility. There's a possibility. But otherwise, if it goes just okay, Pat Freiermuth's catching the 7 touchdowns he caught last year with another additional 20 to 25 targets. I got a little nervous because you're talking that talk about Braylon Allen. Now, I did love Braylon Allen. I didn't like him as much as I like Breece as a prospect, but I did like Braylon Allen a lot. And in the 13th round, I think that that's a fine pick, just in case. I mean, if I'm the Breece owner, I'm definitely making that pick just in case he can't stay. Breece can't maintain the level of health. And I do think he has an opportunity to take a step forward this year and get back to being in that conversation of being like a top 12 to 24 startup pick in Dynasty. So, but for me, obviously, Brashard Smith, that's my guy. Like I said, I'm going to end up on fantasy receipts if I keep this shit up about Brashard Smith. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, that's another one that I've kind of gotten. I was so pissed at you in that startup.
I love that dude. As soon as that pick happened, we were live. As soon as that pick happened, I was like, boom. Like, yes, I love that landing spot. Dude only played 1 game in Arizona, killed it. He only played 1 game and then was ineligible. Dude, he tore it up in New Mexico. Like,
yeah. I was not happy. I was not happy when you did that. Like respect because it's you. But I yelled out loud for no reason, and my wife was like, "What's your problem?
What's wrong with you?"
So those aren't your players for real. Yeah. Nah, she gets it now. It took a while. We've been married for 9 years.
Play a season. Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, I think, the guys that you're kind of hitting on, right? We talked about Brashard Smith, obviously, and JCM, but, those are guys that for me in redraft, I have no problems taking, but I'm definitely taking them towards the end of the draft like they're taken here. But I'm only probably going to take them if I'm the Pacheco owner, right? Or I'm the Brian Robinson owner, right? I mean, even if I'm the Brian Robinson owner, I might just take JCM on my own. So that might be a bad example because I don't have any faith in Brian Robinson this year, but that's just me.
I don't either.
Okay.
I don't. He had a chance. So Jaden Daniels comes out, runs for 900 yards as a rookie. Brian Robinson, we all know the reason that I'm bullish on Breece Hall is the same reason I was bullish on Brian Robinson last year. Running quarterbacks open up pathways on the ground for running backs. Now Justin Fields is a little bit different because he's going to run it around the goal line, which kind of screws you a little bit. But Jaden Daniels is a little bit more slightly framed. He's not going to take those hits or be in close where you could hand it off to Brian Robinson. I thought he would boom because of that, but he did not. So now you add in a guy who's got crazy juice. Crazy juice. That's the thing about JCM is like you watch him play. I'm not saying he's like Bucky, but he's got that type of explosiveness.
Yes, he does.
He's 1000%. Got that type of explosiveness. So don't be surprised. We're here telling you right now, you need to have this guy on your radar. If he pops during training camp, that could be the guy that we're all looking back at like, yeah, 7th round picks never hit, whatever. But keep your eye out on this guy in an extremely deep running back class. I feel like he would have gone a lot higher if he would have gotten to play at Arizona this past year.
Yep. I mean, he didn't play and then still got invited to the East West Shrine Bowl and won MVP of the game.
Yes. So again, what we're telling you is to get familiar with this guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Get familiar with this guy and just make plans for your last round, the last round of your draft. Just keep him on the radar.
Yep.
By the time that we're making redraft, we're doing redraft leagues, you're going to have the information as to where he's kind of falling, if he's balling out in training camp or not. I'm going to be real loud about it. We're going to be loud about it. So we'll get you the information.
Yep.
But the one that sticks out to me, there's two that stick out to me, talking about the tight ends, Hunter Henry and Zach Ertz. Last round of a draft. That seems insane. Wow. No tight end premium.
It's okay.
But I don't care.
That's okay.
I don't care. They're going to score points. They're going to score points. Now, do I want it to be Ben Sinnott? Yes.
Yeah.
But fucking Cliff Kingsbury wants it to be Zach Ertz. So it's Zach Ertz for right now.
Yeah. I'm all over Ben Sinnott too. So the feelings reciprocal on in that draft because you took Sinnott in front of me too. So now I'm with you. And I mean Zach Ertz, I think Ertz finished as a top 12 tight end last year, right? And we're talking about these aged veterans, tail end of your redraft, man. Like this is the value that we're talking about. But look at the teams that they went to in this draft, right? Like Ertz went to the Kelsey owner, perfect. Hunter Henry goes to the Pitts owner, perfect. Like that's how you want to do it. If these guys can be your number 2 because you're taking them this late in the draft, that's fantastic. If they have to be your 1, it's not great.
Yeah,
but they still finished top 12 last year. So what are we talking about? At the end of the day, you want points, and these guys put up points. So we'll see how it finishes out. I guess the last point I just wanted to make about this whole draft was there's a lot of guys that if you have a concern, right? I'm not big on handcuffs when it comes to Dynasty. Every situation is different. Every situation changes year to year. There are some guys I like to kind of project out. I like to buy the talent and hopefully they fall into a good landing spot eventually, situation, whatever you want to call it. I kind of have a different philosophy when I'm playing redraft. I really, truly want to have my handcuffs. So if I'm the McCaffrey owner, I'm not letting somebody take Isaac Guerendo in the 11th round.
No, sir.
I'm taking Isaac Guerendo in like the 9th round to ensure that I have that backfield. If I'm taking Aaron Jones, I am definitely taking Jordan Mason. Like I'm taking Jordan Mason no matter what in every draft I want, but I'm taking Jordan Mason. I might back it up. If I'm picking on a wheel and I take Aaron Jones, I might just go Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, boom.
Yes.
Vikings backfield, top 12 running back. Here it is.
They very well, they don't have obviously Aaron Jones doesn't have the Gibbs upside, but that's a kind of Spider-Man meme backfield in my opinion, because you've got You've got the grinder now with Jordan Mason, and you've got the guy that's explosive, that's going to catch the passes, it's going to operate in space in Aaron Jones. So I think that's an excellent point. And I think what we need to do is start as we ramp up to getting this channel off the ground. I think that what we need to do is kind of talk strategy and like how to avoid certain pitfalls in roster construction for redraft. We've talked about it for Dynasty till we're blue in the face. Big Co and Casey do a phenomenal job of adding context and helping you get ready for your draft. But thank you guys for joining us tonight. We're going to be doing these. I'm probably going to try to do these every Friday. And then once we get to the new channel, we'll do them, we'll have them more often than just the Fridays. But for right now, it's June. we're fucking mock drafting on a Friday night. And I'm glad that I was able to do it with you, Dougie. No Diddy.
No, all Diddy, baby. I'm just
playing. All Diddy. All Diddy is crazy. Hey, anything else you want to hit on before we get out of here?
Just make sure you go hit up the FFPC, use the user code FFD to get $25 off, baby. They never have an orphan. That's the best part about those leagues in the FFPC is that the leagues never fold because the orphans get filled. So outside of that, appreciate you having me on, and we'll catch you guys next time.
Yeah, man, we're going to do these again, like I said. And I'm Chev. That's Dougie. We'll see you soon.